me know when we're live.
Alright. Starting. Receiving content. We are live.
Cool. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
Why will they do it cheer for diversity?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
And this is Conlon.
And we're back. Back after a little break, or somewhat of a break of the show. So,
Me and Nathan had a falling out.
yeah, we were fighting with each other. We've set aside our differences, our political differences, and I don't think we've been angry at each other since what? You're like fucking 8. For it. Mention it at work. Hey, are you okay? It's why. What happened? I blacked out. Like, what did I say or do? Probably not, but
You had a rage out again. Oh, shit.
blacked out. But I didn't sexually harass anyone or pull out my penis in front of people, so that was good. That seems to be all the topic now. It's all our, what did John Oliver say? All our favorite comedians and actors we found out are now sex monsters. Or he
Nathan,
was the meerkat or something.
yeah, and like I think they tried to convince him, like, hey, don't tell Hollywood you're gay. So he had to go around, like, and then, like, it's like everybody's like,
Oh, by the way,
oh, you're not surprised? Oh, then fuck it.
yeah, well, not a secret, but the other stuff was pretty weird. And then we had the Louis C.K. thing, which people have been talking about that for a couple of years.
I never heard that rumor, but what
Oh, you
doesn't
didn't?
surprise me.
I didn't. Where they were talking about it last year.
Well, I used to
Yeah.
know Opie and Anthony, and they kind of just let rumors fly on there, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they used to. Yeah. I don't even have XM radio anymore. That's all just like, nope, not doing this.
Well, they're not even Opie and Anthony anymore, so.
No, it's Jim and Sam, which is fine, but you know, Jimmy's doing what Jim wanted to do, which is Opie didn't want to do. Let's have porn stars and wrestlers on. It's like, yeah, this is or not wrestlers, MMA fighters. It's like, okay, well, I like Jim Norton. However, this is not worth $24 a month or whatever anymore. And, so now I'm just stuck with the archived episodes of Opie and Anthony. And sometimes like me and Grayson listen to those, and I'm like, God, this was a vicious show. This was beautiful. Nothing like this could ever exist again. But yeah, that's all that's weird and new in the world. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff, news, things like that, but I don't like to think about that anymore. Just try to pretend it's not real. We're all gonna be fine. So we had Thanksgiving today.
Yeah.
Well, some of us did. You were at work, so
Yeah, I got to go home for lunch and have Thanksgiving. Green bean casserole, so.
that's good stuff. Mom and Dad sent us steaks.
Oh, yeah.
Omaha steaks.
Omaha steaks, yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty good. We had the ribeye, the diamond cut ribeyes or whatever. They were really good. Grayson had 2. What's that?
It's just the arm of the cow, but it tastes just like steak.
Oh, I figured they would take cuts of meat from there. I didn't know that was an unusual thing.
But it was like super cheap because it's like the price of like a ribeye steak. Like I get like 10 pounds, or no, it probably wasn't that much. Like 8 pounds of steak for what it would cost for like one ribeye.
Legs, there'd be a lot of connecting tissue you'd have to soften up.
I don't know. I mean, I just, there was no fat on it or whatever. I mean, it might not have even been arm steak, or like the arm, but it was just called arm steak.
Huh.
and it was super cheap because I was making these like egg bowls, and I wanted steak and egg bowls.
Okay.
So I was like, I want a lot of cheap steak, and I figured that would work.
Huh.
And it tastes just like steak, so it didn't matter.
I'm gonna have to try that sometime.
I mean, it wasn't as delicate as like a ribeye. I have like marbled fat on it. Like it wasn't as delectable.
Yeah, these ribeyes had very little fat on the perimeter of them. They had, streaks running through, but didn't take too long to cook them either, and they were really good. So I'd never heard of that concept. And this package showed up on the door, and it was full of dry ice, which I played with. But yeah, there were some great steaks in there, so it was good stuff. Might have to look into that concept some more.
Yeah, you can get like a monthly thing. They just send you stuff.
Grayson loves a steak. But... the heater's running.
Yeah. We're live.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to drink a Coke because I've been spending the last 3 hours ripping down cardboard boxes.
Like I said, I had no idea Walmart was open on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. I mean, usually don't work Thanksgiving because usually, for like 14 years, my schedule would never change. It was Friday to Monday, but now because of school, it's Thursday to Sunday. So this is the first time I've worked a Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Huh. It's interesting.
But hopefully, yeah. So we basically had Black Friday today. So hopefully tomorrow isn't like
Giving.
I accidentally did once. Like I got up early and I went to a Best Buy and I was like, what are all these people doing here? I was like, oh, Dreamcasts are going for $30.
I've never. Usually, I do sometimes Amazon will send me an email, and if it's something I needed or wanted anyway, and it happens to be 70% off, it's like, oh, that's cool. But I guess that's their version of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, they have Cyber Monday, but even that stuff, like, people are talking about how they're fucking with the sales data on there, where it's like, the suggested retail price, and like, hey, it's on 50% off, and like, they up the suggested retail price, and it's actually like more expensive than it would be like any other day for Black Friday. Just how they position it, you're like, you don't know you're getting fucked.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's not Amazon. I don't think is.
But I mean, Black Friday deals are always just like, especially at Walmart, where it's like, because we had a 39-inch TV for $125.
Yeah.
From a company I've never heard of before.
TVO.
Now, there's some of those weird, like, off-brand TVs that, like, if you like, really get into, like, the shipping and what Chinese company made it, like, you can get, like, a really good TV for really fucking cheap, but you have to be so specific and know where you're getting it from and where it came from and what factory it's at and all that shit.
Yeah. Was this made at the Hoshang or Zhaovang factory? Was it made before or after the labor dispute? How many people were killed? How many children died making of this television set? 720 capable HD TVs, so I never really go out.
They did. I was kind of eyeing. They had like a 50-inch Sharp for like a 4K 50-inch Sharp.
Yeah.
Because like next time I buy a TV, it's gonna be for a very specific reason. So.
Oh, okay.
So now I want that. I want the 4K, but I want an HDR capable too, and I want an OLED screen. And for right now, if I want that, that's like $2,000 to $4,000.
Right.
So I'll wait.
Give it another year. It'll be $50.
Well, it's just that OLED screen is really fucking expensive. If you just want just the regular LED screen, you can get like $500.
Yeah.
But like all that 4K stuff, like I don't even have a. I mean, I could probably run it through my PC, but like, it'd be kind of weird. Like only the Xbox X would really be able to run that stuff right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently HDR, you don't even. It's not even HDR stuff. doesn't require like the Xbox One S can do that. Because apparently it's just a switch you hit. Like all the data's already there in the product, and it's just like the TV just has to be capable to bring it out.
Huh.
And it really changes like how a game looks because of all the high lows and stuff, high dynamic range.
Huh. Yeah, I buy a TV when the old one dies.
Yeah.
Last one went for 10 years, and then I just bought another Sharp, and I go to put it on the wall, and I'm like, and this one was bigger by a couple of inches. It was 55 inches. My old one was 48 or something. And I went to put it on the wall, and I was like, shit, this is light compared to the old one. Crap, this is a lot thinner. We were like throwing it around. I can't believe how little this TV weighs. Because they have a big, heavy-duty bracket to hold the weight of the old one.
Yeah.
And the bracket hooked right up, but I was like, oh, man, this TV doesn't weigh anything.
Well, I do everything on my computer monitor, so I was kind of like looking at it, it's like, do they make 4K computer monitors? Like, they have to, right? So I was looking at that, and they kind of really don't. It's weird.
Huh.
Even though, like, computer monitors can do, like, really high resolution, they're apparently not 4K yet.
I don't know what's the new Apple computer do. I don't even know. It's not that important. I'm not going to be buying one for a while. At least not that I know.
No, it's being dismantled. It's not a circuit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's people that are mad about that. I've read comments on the internet. I was looking at something. It's like, well, they're going to fuck us with this, and, they're just going to get richer. It's like, did half you idiots paid attention to who you fucking voted into office? What did you think was going to happen? It was going to be like, just circuses and blowjobs. Of course these bastards are going to rape us for every fucking penny they can get. But, I guess that came as a surprise to some people. Because they don't have literacy tests at the fucking polling places, so...
Only for black people.
Yeah, just for black people. Yeah, they have to read the Constitution in German to be able to... That's actually a thing that really happened in the Jim Crow South. Can you read the Constitution? Why, yes, I can. Oh, we got a smart one here. Can you read it in German? Well, can you? It doesn't say I have. It's tearing down. Those were all put up in the Jim Crow era. They weren't put up right after the Civil War. Just a trivia fact. Doesn't have anything to do with racism at all, though. Just happened to happen at the same time and be funded by the same groups. But there's no racism there at all. Don't believe it. That's all social justice warrior, fucking left wing.
Well, we're in the post-racial era, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's sure by some people's measure. We had a black president. What do they got to complain about? I don't know. Have you been to fucking Detroit lately? Have you? Oh, they won. And now we got an orange president, so we won. We can say the N-word whenever we want to. It's my constitutional right.
But
You're
apparently
right.
I can't rape my secretary?
Now,
What is this world
bullshit.
coming to?
What would my life be without my unwanted sexual advances?
Who has time for that shit? Like, all these people getting busted for that? It's like...
That's one of those things in life I've never understood. And like I said, I know there hasn't been a lot of opportunity, but it just would really never occur to me, like, I want the workplace to be wildly uncomfortable and weird. I want, like, sidelong glances, and when I walk up behind someone and they hear my voice, I want them to jump. That's power. That's what I like. Read a memo or something. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people busy doing stuff. And all the wrong stuff. Actually, I'm not going to say I'm surprised, though. I'm not like, oh, God, that went on? Yeah, that's all people do.
Well, it's not. It's just kind of this moment where people feel more comfortable to come forward now. So it seems like... Because that's what happened... because we've been getting sapper training forever in the military. Sexual assault prevention, sapper training.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Yeah. What is this? How's this going to tie back to sexual harassment?
SAPR.
Bridges in Germany. Okay. Is there a big problem with sexual harassment in the military?
This program, like, the amount of incidences that have been reported, like, they skyrocketed.
Oh, okay.
And like they said like, no, this is actually a good thing because people are actually feel safer about coming forward now.
Yeah. Until everyone says it's bullshit or something. Until we have the sexual harassment recurve.
But yeah. So I mean that stuff's already kind of like happened in the middle, and you know it continues and stuff.
Yeah.
But at least just be like, well, this is makes me uncomfortable. I'm just gonna forget about it. We all forget about it, and then nothing ever happened.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought women you'd want to fucking play grab ass with because they might break your arm. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they have that whole.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just. It's just not just women being harassed either.
What, the women are harassing the lower ranked men?
That and just men on men too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do let the gays in. No.
Well, that's not just the gays. Sometimes it's just people who want weird overpowering over other people, and then
It's like prisons.
I don't know what it is. It's like there's just maniacal people who aren't gay, but they will like fucking have gay sex with somebody to assert their dominance over them. It's fucking weird.
Oh, it's like dog logic. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I can't like bring up a case of when that happens, but like it's been reported and aggregated as a thing that happens.
Huh. I guess it takes all kinds. I don't know. People are some weird shit out there.
Oh, it's kind of like in the way. Well, not necessarily in the way, but it's like pedophiles. Like, well, they're gay, right? It's like, no, not really. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's not just. That's not homosexuality. That's something darker.
Yeah.
Some dark corner of the human psyche. What else? Oh, there's a submarine missing.
There is?
Yeah, the Argentinian diesel submarine.
I was like, one of ours?
No. Not yet. No, we're too busy trying to kill merchant vessels South Pacific.
Through negligence.
Yeah. But no, that's the San Juan, the Argentinian diesel submarine is missing. And then the Navy came forward. The U.S. Navy came forward today. It's that kind of underwater listening shit that we have all over the world. It detected. Fascinating. You couldn't get me on a bet to get in one, but I do find them interesting from a distance. Really, yeah, that's all the big news, though. No Russian submarines or anything. Not yet. Not that we know of.
Yeah. They're out there.
They're out there. Well, they had a humorous article in the New York Times about. No, I just found it was humorous because I read all kinds of, and just the stuff you can read is like the stuff that's really going on is way crazier. But they're like the Soviets or the Russians have a new submarine that we can't hear. It's super secret, and it went all the way from the Black Sea somewhere else, and we couldn't follow it at all. And they said it's called a diesel motor for 6 hours and recharge batteries and sit still while it's doing it. So then it's like a nice big fat target. But they say they invented some snorkeling system that we can't detect or something. It's like, no, they didn't. This is not happening. This is some weird. This is some reporter who's getting
got a sonar buoy that's just an exhaust pipe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all the Russians and their deadly technology. It's coming for us. Just like
that sounds like how the media handles like anything when it comes to a weapon.
But you can read about it. Like, I know it's bullshit, and I'm just a civilian who just reads books. I don't have any special knowledge, but it's like, yeah, that's not a new submarine. That's not a new technology. But I think, well, there's also, we got to sell advertising part of it too. We got to make it sensational.
Yeah. What was it? I played a new video game that I think you might like.
What's that?
Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Oh yeah, Grayson has that.
Hey, you might like that.
We'll have to check that out. I know Hitler was trying to make a movie.
Yeah.
Actors.
Yeah.
He shot one guy, and
some neo-Nazis were getting mad that this video game is about murdering their kind.
fucking neo-Nazis are becoming social justice warriors now.
Because
I knew the world was going to get really fucked up and weird. I always knew this in my heart, but I didn't imagine this would be the direction we're going.
And so, yeah, it's because they made a commercial out of it where they have, like, you know, all the Nazi troops marching inside the video game, and then, like, you know, it's a bunch of pictures of BJ Blazkowicz just like murdering Nazis, and then there's a title card that comes up says "Make America Nazi Free Again." A lot of like social commentary that you think they've been working on this for like probably like 3-4 years, so this stuff already had been set ahead of time.
Right.
And so like they accidentally kind of backed into it, and it isn't just some kind of surface thing. They really get into it, like on all courses of like it's brought to bear in this game.
Huh. Well, when I get a chance in the coming weeks, I'll check that out because it's right here in the house.
Yeah. I'd say just play it on easy.
Yeah. Okay. We will.
It's can be because I don't know, it can be a frustrating game. I played on normal, and I was kind of breezing through the first half of it, and then just would at some point become randomly really hard and take forever to get past it. And then but there's actually some story reasons for it too, because there's like your health system changes like twice throughout the game.
Oh, that's always fun.
Because it changes once, because like when you end the first game, like you're in bad shape, and so they pick you up, and somehow you're not dead, and they fix you up, and you're kind of like, I think the first level of the game you're fighting a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
In a submarine.
Almost has a Metal Gear kind of vibe.
Yeah. And so like you can get like 200 armor, but you can only have 50 health. Now you can overcharge your health, so that means like you can overcharge it up to like 200. So it's like when you pick a health pack up, it will continue to go up till 200, but then it will slowly start to count down. And so the maximum health you can have that won't count down is 50, but you can have like 200 armor.
Okay.
So it's a strange system, and then like that kind of inverses halfway through the game for story reasons. So.
Oh, okay.
So.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
So I've been building some models with my free time. This is a Y-Wing. This is a Bandai. And I completely, I don't know how, let me flip over to mine to see if this is even coming through. I should just put these on Facebook. But
yeah.
So this is a lot of new techniques here. I used a masking technique to get the nacelles. You see on the front how they have paint missing.
Hold on, let me turn up the quality.
Okay.
How do I do this? Shit.
I'll put it on Facebook.
All right.
Yes, I was using paint. There's something you put down. It's like it dries like rubber cement, and then you paint over it.
Yeah.
And then you peel it off. And it's a lot easier than chipping, and it gives you a lot more. Because if you want it to look like wear and tear, it works a lot better than that. But this is one of those great Bandai models. So
yeah,
like it's super detailed. I did paint all the pipes and stuff different colors, but then when I washed it, they sort of look the same. But there's a few that stand out. But yeah, I tried to make this look a lot more rugged. There's pipes that run along the bottom, and there's all kinds of stuff like that. But it was a great model to build. I saw I've actually seen the Millennium Falcon, the Bandai, the Perfect Edition.
Oh yeah,
$400 model.
Oh okay. I was gonna say like $3,000 or something, but
No, not yet.
I think that's actually the Lego one is like $3,000.
Yeah. Now this Bandai one is it's limited edition, but it's actually it is a pretty much direct copy from the 1970s model, what they call the 5-foot model. There's a whole Millennium Falcon subculture.
Yeah.
But every year or every couple of years, Bandai is going to come out with a new Perfect Edition Millennium Falcon that will go from New Hope, Empire, Jedi, and then they'll have the last one. We'll start with the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon, which I guess is a lot different than most people realize. That they just like, oh, the radar dish is square. It's like, no, there's a lot of things that are different about it, but only people that are really obsessed with it. But I would love to build the model.
Yeah,
but I'm not spend $400 on a model either. That's a little expensive.
not yet.
Well, it's a fully lighted. It comes with a light kit and everything. All kinds of amazing stuff going on there.
Yeah, you have to quit drinking for a lot longer to pay for that.
Many bottles of Stoli will have to not be consumed. Well, it gets into a question of space because it's a big model. When it's
how big is it?
Oh,
so it's like a movie prop thing.
Yeah. It's almost it's amazing. What did I listened? Oh, I listened to the Adam Savage podcast. They talk about stuff like that. Or the Tested guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Adam Savage. Yeah, they'll talk about things like that. And there's a lot of models and stuff that he's built. I'm like, that looks like fun. But of course, what he does in an hour, I couldn't do in a month.
Yeah, that's kind of why he is really successful, because he can do things really quickly.
Yeah, he can make things look amazing very fast. Well, but yeah, he has a complete workshop and 30 years experience. And
but I mean, he has those ones where it's like an hour build or a quick build.
Yeah,
it's like real time him doing something, and like it's not a whole lot of technique. It's not a whole lot of tools involved, but like it looks really nice what he's done. Because there's that one where he took like a Nerf gun and basically made it look like some sort of sci-fi movie like space weapon.
Right.
And all I did was like some painting, some like springs, and
the kind of models I follow on Facebook. Again, these are basically resin kind of homemade kits. That's called Industria Mechana or something like that. It's a lot of it's based like, you know, those books that you got me that I like, the Simon Stahlhag books.
Yeah.
Tales from the Loop. Okay, these people like make models out from art books like that.
Huh.
And they're all resin and they're all like $150 to $300. And he did the one with the cosmonaut. And resin's really hard to work with. It's kind of like a clay. It's the reason they use it is because you can mold it in silicone molds, whereas like the models I build, you have to have a plant and it's like injected into dyes. And so the resin's kind of weird to work with, but the nice thing with resin, you can use almost any paint. You won't melt it or anything.
Huh.
Yeah, they did one. I think there was some time lapse in there, but just to watch his process and his workflow. It's like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Oh, I'm going to put lights in it. And he just knows exactly what to do. And he's drilling holes through this stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, that's going to crack. No, it didn't. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So yeah, that was, it was cool to see him build something that like, oh, I love those models. I could never afford one, but I do love them. But I've had some, let's see, that's my one Star Wars model. That's a theme. And then I found this, and this wasn't really that expensive for a model.
Oh, is that like all the Apollo rockets?
Well, these are all the missiles of the Cold War.
Oh, okay.
It's weird because like this is the American side because there's flags.
Yeah.
One of those I had to paint a lot of it by hand because this is like an 80s vintage model kit.
Oh, okay. I was like, how did you find that?
Well, there wasn't really a lot of detail on them. Some of the stuff you see on here is shit I added.
Okay.
It was supposed to be stickers that didn't work, so I just hand painted a lot of this. This is a Titan, this big one here, which is basically half a Saturn rocket.
Okay.
This is the MX Peacekeeper, which is this one right here. And this is one of these is the Poseidon, and the Polaris. Those are the submarine ones.
Okay.
And then we have the Tomahawk, and then we have the ACLM, which was our supersonic cruise missile. And this is the Pershing here. Of all these missiles on the American side, we only have this one, which is the Minuteman, and then the Trident, and then we can put nuclear weapons in the Tomahawk. We only have 3 of these left. That's it. Now on the Russian side, this was the big one. This was Satan, the SS-25. We have the SS-18, and then they have some from the 60s, and these are all their submarine variant ones. This tall one here was liquid fueled. That killed a lot of people on their submarines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one that if it mixed with seawater, it formed nitric acid, and then it would run throughout the ship, and that's great for your lungs. The Russian ones, they still have a lot of these. They never got rid of.
They just built so many of them; they're just still around.
Well, our treaty limitations with them was when the SALT II talks and all that stuff was, we always kept like Titan was an old system. It was powerful, it was fast, but it was a liquid fueled rocket, and those they're dangerous. And the Pershing we liked. That was like a medium range missile though, but so we had to put those in Europe. Those could hit Moscow very quickly, not as quick as the Russians thought they could, but fast enough. But our thing was we're going to keep our Trident. Our submarines are off books. You can't cut anything from that. We'll get rid of anything else, but we're not going to cut. We're not going to cut our Trident forces. And so the Russians, they like their big missiles. Oh, there's another model I'm going to build. Actually, I haven't built it yet. This is the Russian road mobile missile, Topol SS-25 Sickle. That's actually a newer thing they have. They've been around for a while, but that's a truck that drives around because they're too easy to hit.
Yeah.
So if you have them moving around, we move them around at sea. The Russian seaborne stuff always sucked, and they move them around on land because they have this vast interior. And those road mobile missiles, they have an intercontinental reach, that's pretty astounding. I don't know how well it'd work if it was put to the test, but
yeah,
they're hard to hit. We don't know where they are because they drive them around all the time. So, but yeah, that was an 80s like vintage model kit that I bought. It was pretty cheap. And yeah, the only thing that some of the stickers worked. I had other stickers were like just black tubes you put together and like, boom, there's a missile. It's like, no, it's got to have more detail than that. And then MiG-25.
Huh.
This a lot more detailed. And it even has the weird, funky Russian green cockpit. I actually got that color. And this is the spy version. So you have all these camera pods.
Oh, okay.
Here, and here. This one didn't carry missiles. It just had a fuel tank and long range. It had a longer range. By longer range, I mean 800 miles as opposed to 600. Because this thing sucked fuel. This one gives you more of a detail about how big those engines were.
Yeah.
A man could stand in those. One of those. Now this was branded as a Rebel kit, but this is actually a Ukrainian kit. It's called IMI International. Rebel just rebagged it as the Rebel Germany MiG-25, actual MiG-25. And it had all this weird detail, like because this back here was not white. This was actually silver because it would just burn the paint off because the exhaust around the engines. There's some really amazing detail inside the fans. There's like 3 or 4 things in there. You can't see them, but there are several different colors. And I actually found that weird color you get when you heat copper, cool it down, heat it, cool it down. It turns like a green. It develops an odd patina.
Yeah.
They actually had that color. The decals are an upgrade. because they're in those were actually in the late era Soviet, early Russian Federation, because you see the red star has a blue and a white around it. It wasn't just red stars anymore. That's when they used as reconnaissance planes, and I mean they're completely out of service by now. Just one of those fun planes from the Cold War that it has those weird, unique things that the Russians do, like the green wheels and all that. That's all real. So this is pretty much, we're getting close to the end here.
Is that functional landing gear?
Yeah, it rests on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it takes the weight of it. So, I didn't get the front piece of the cockpit in the kit. That's coming from Germany in 6 to 8 weeks. So that'll be here soon, I hope. And some chipping. So it turned out really good.
Huh.
Very detailed model, and not a cheap one either. That was a pretty. I don't think I can do any more. Next thing I'm on to is the Sickle, the Topol missile launcher, which I don't know when I'm going to start that.
Have you done vehicles before yet?
It's not real, so no, I really haven't done a vehicle yet.
I think one time I was going to try to send you like that fucking Smokey and the Bandit
skis. I mean, right now,
yeah,
$100 in. You get the shell, and then you're gonna.
That really wouldn't be worth it. Because I remember I think you said at one point that was like your favorite car, or maybe at least favorite like Hollywood car or something.
Yeah, that's one of them. That one and the RoboCop police car were always two. And then, now my real favorite was the Mad Max, the Interceptor.
Oh yeah, okay.
In its original Mad Max, like before the collapse of like kind of towards the end of civilization.
End of Mad Max 1 or Road Warrior?
The first one that Mel Gibson was in when he was real young.
Okay.
The Mad Max. That's the one where the car was at its most effective. In all its nonsense and glory. Because after that, it just kept getting destroyed over and over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe I could find that model for you. Cause that's
yeah,
like,
you can't. It doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. Because like that would be... or I just find you a what was that? What was that? Not in the fucking
make a lot of model kits from it, which is weird because you think it'd be tailor made for that. Like, if you couldn't actually build one of these cars, which most people can't, you could build a model.
But I was like thinking like, oh well, like but you prefer like the more the original one. But I was thinking like the later versions would be more towards your paint scheme because it's more sci-fi. Degradation and like kind of weathering.
Actually, the one from the Road Warrior was pretty cool. It's that one wasn't too bad. It just it had it's just the original one was just, that was such a cool idea.
Yeah. Still
like the ending of that movie. It's like you can saw through those handcuffs in 15 minutes. You can saw through your leg in 5. Good luck. It's like one of the best send-offs for a movie. And the new one was good. I mean, they're all good. Even Thunderdome I liked in a weird way.
Yeah, it had its moments, but
just Tina Turner was a villainous character. It was like, that's interesting.
I read a new book.
Which one's that?
Artemis.
Oh, the Andy Weir one?
Yeah.
When did that come out? I was waiting for that.
It came out like a week ago or something like that.
Okay, good. How was it?
It was really good. I liked it. It's very much like his thing where it's like, here's a bunch of like cool details. And,
yeah.
This one isn't like, this is more like, it's more like future.
It's expanse-like to me, certain way.
Yeah. Because that's the cool thing about it is like you take this one thing and then like you elaborate on it. And it's like, that's kind of neat. And like this would be kind of boring in other ways, but they make it neat. Because like to talk about how like the moon, because it's like people just live on the moon now. It's called Artemis, and there's like all this different places. But like it's like weirdly it's not its own country. And because it's not its own country, it doesn't have a currency, but it kind of has a currency. So it has a pseudo currency they called slugs. I can't remember what the S stands for, but the LG stands for lunar grams. So like when you buy something, it's not how much it's worth; it's how much it weighs to ship it to the moon.
No, that's actually makes sense.
So you pay for things with slugs. So yeah, like that shit's kind of interesting, and then like just it goes through like all these little details, and of course it's Andy Weir, and if you've read The Martian, it's like, okay, we come up with a plan, and then there's like 8 ways it goes wrong, and it's like, how are they gonna figure this out now? But it's not like Martian. Was very near future. Like The Martian was like, we could do that shit now if we just put the money towards it. Like,
right,
all the tech in that movie like can happen if we just put money towards it. Whereas this is just kind of like a lot of it's science fiction. It's like we haven't done this yet. I mean, it's all could if we put money towards it again, but like they're not really doing that. But
yeah.
And the audiobook it's read by Rosario Dawson.
Okay.
Because the main character is like from Saudi Arabia. She's like a small Saudi Arabian woman, but she doesn't really remember Saudi Arabia. And that's another thing. Like she's like one of the youngest people to be on the moon, because the birth defects that happen, they don't allow you to be on the moon till you're like 16. But she got there when she was 6 before they made that cutoff. So she's like lived on the moon her whole life.
Oh, okay.
So stuff like that. And if you get pregnant on the moon, you got to go to Earth to have your baby.
Why? Because it will never be able to go into a gravity well again, or
Well, just because of the birth defects that happen because of low gravity and things like that.
oh, okay.
What's the other interesting stuff? There's stuff where it's like the moon's just kind of like this place for rich people, and there's this weird middle class on the moon where, it's really smart people, but they just don't really have the money to do anything. And there's no police on the moon. Like there's no police force. There's a lot of like kind of self-determined. It's like the village gets together to beat somebody up to make sure that they never do that again, or if it's bad enough, then they just deport you to Earth, and then you can never be on the moon ever again. So there's not really like this overriding police force. There's a lot of like smuggling and stuff like that going on in the moon. There's a lot of sex tourism too. Prostitutes are illegal, but there's also like people, rich people trying to rekindle their sex life, and it's like sex in a 1/6 of the gravity of Earth is really interesting because you have to refigure out how to do sex again.
Huh.
A lot of very detailed stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
But it's not like a mind-blowing story. It's like fairly straightforward, but a lot of like, revelations like, I guess that wouldn't make sense or whatever. So, and like it's just how it's detailed that really makes it. So.
Okay. Well, when I get an audiobook credit again, I'll check.
I got like 4. I think the last one before it, and that's it. It's kind of strange because like the way that book works is like that could continue forever if it wants to.
Yeah.
Because then like at the end of it, they didn't like kill off all the Bobs. It's like you can always just make more Bobs and have more adventures as Bob. There's a never-ending, but then they just cut it off. It's sort of abrupt.
But
What
did I? My last audio. The new Chernobyl book came out, so I had to pick that up.
Chernobyl book.
Yeah. There was. Let me look it up. Totally forgot. Where's my thing at there? It was. This was actually a self-published book by a British guy who said, I will always read new ones if they're not art books, or if they're not like something that like I can't understand, like science.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing is I know for a fact, because I've read every book written about Chernobyl in the English language. It's not scientific or fiction. I've read all, and I don't know. I'm going to keep doing it. One on my headstone. This guy read every book written about Chernobyl. It's by Andrew Leatherbarrow. It's called Chernobyl 12340. And this guy,
what does that stand for?
I think that's what they did explain that. I think that's the when it actually happened. The time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because at first I thought, oh, it's like that's the weird European way of date coding. It's like, oh wait, no, it isn't. That's something else. And then he explains it. Well, this self-published book originally. This guy went to, I think he was done like journey with his. He wrote some things about he wrote stuff about what happened, and people are like, you should publish this. He's really good. You need to find it a lot, but you should publish it. Because I forget what he does. It's like a normal job.
Yeah.
So he's not a writer. He's not. Excuse me, he's not an expert on nuclear physics or nothing like that. He's just a guy that went there and was really amazed and depressed because the people that still live there and still work around there, they don't like the tourists as much as they used to because everything just is bad for worse. Like the apex of living in that area was before that plant exploded.
Yeah.
It was like really good for that time and that place. And everything's just been downhill since. And, it's wrecked the economy. It kind of creates jobs, but then they had to shut down the other reactors there. And now electricity's super expensive. And they kind of resent that they had to shut the other reactors down. But this was more a story about it. This guy does, you have to be real careful because remember when we did the Chernobyl podcast like a couple of years ago? And it was like this notion that thousands of people died and it's all bullshit. It was, he actually has the figures about like in 2017, how many people have actually died directly related to this. And he says, yeah, you got to be careful with this though, because Greenpeace comes after you or other people. And he goes, and I'm not going to refute their, whatever they think is reality, but this is the number of people that actually died from this. And then he actually, remember the two guys that were divers? They had to go in wetsuits and go down underneath the reactor in water that was about waist high, all super radioactive and deadly, and they had to turn some valves and stuff. Well, the legend there was always like those guys came out of the water and dropped over dead 2 hours later. So fuck, the one guy's still alive. The other guy died in his 60s of a heart attack like a couple of years ago. And it's not that they didn't have health effects from it.
Yeah.
But it was like there were all these legends of Chernobyl. Like we sent 2 men in, they held hands and died after. It's like that didn't happen. It wasn't good for them, but they didn't drop over dead, just instantaneously.
Well, yeah.
But if you told me that like, oh yeah, they poured all this water over a dying nuclear reactor, and it all pooled up in the basement, and these guys had to walk around in this water and turn valves, I'd be like, well, yeah, I'm fucking dead. They're not going to live through that. Turns out they did. And the guy died of a heart attack. A lot of it just had to do with what you were exposed to and how long you hung around.
Yeah.
Like, because Dyatlov, one of the guys in the control room, the guy directly responsible for the accident, like, he was sentenced to like a labor camp for 5 years afterwards. And then he did it, which for that time,
I remember was that one guy.
It was a hard labor camp.
I remember was that one guy who, for some reason, they never explained why he couldn't touch oil, but he can't touch oil.
Yeah, because his pores are always wide open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was one of the liquidators. And there were like a lot of people in the control room died within days, or they died at the special hospital in Moscow. They basically melted because they stayed they were trying to continue to activate and run systems that just didn't exist anymore. And they thought, well, if we do this, it'll tamp it down. Because really, they didn't have the concept in their mind, and they didn't accept it for days that exists anymore. And a lot of those guys died because they thought, well, okay, maybe we can still, we don't want any problems. No bad news to the boss. Let's just keep this going. And they were absorbing so much radiation that it just destroyed all the cells in their body. But guys like Dyatlov that were in the control room, he had to go for a meeting with the boss, and then they had to talk about it. And so he wasn't like sitting right next to where they were.
But like there are guys on the roof with a hose, and like they're basically like the government was like, "Hey, we'll pay for your family after you die." Like that's what they're.
Oh, yeah. They told him that we'll take care of your family. A lot of the firefighters, they got what's called a Chernobyl tan, where your skin turns like a dark. They were filming it, and all the splotches you see on the film are the radiation attacking the film stock.
Yeah.
And the one guy threw up immediately about the number of times they went up, because they actually did have it doped out. Like, okay, you can go up 2 times, you're going to get a lifetime dose. But these guys were like, if okay, then the next guy, the guy behind me won't have to die. There was a lot of that logic too that killed a lot of people. Those are decisions I don't understand. It's like 2 trips, okay. That's not a lingering death.
Yeah, and I think a lot of like the other numbers people attribute to, like, you know, the just the how far the cloud went or whatever. It's like, well, then we can attribute that. If someone died of some other reason, we can just attribute that as
your thyroid. Well, it'll just destroy it.
Yeah.
Almost 70% of the people in that region have had their thyroid removed. 100,000 people running around with, you know, but yeah, I wouldn't, you know, I just like to drive around and take some pictures, but I'm not going to hang around and, you know, it's like, don't disturb the dust. It's like, okay, fuck this dust. Let's get away from, you know, I know that that's going to kill you. But yeah, it's, I mean, essentially it is just a large scale industrial accident is what it is. But it's, that in itself is fascinating. Just that is like, that's amazing. To imagine something like that. We don't need to, you know, and again, it's that Russian science. It's always, like, what are they doing now? What were they thinking? But even if you look at the thinking behind it, I mean,
what, the accident or the reactor?
Huh?
Because like the reactor itself,
it's horribly complex. It has thousands of rods that go on the top of it.
Yeah, there's something about the process of it where like you can just, all you need to do is like basically add more valves and you add more powers. It almost has like this infinite like power thing to it. It's like you can get as much power as you want, because like they put out a ton of power.
Yeah,
like you look at like other reactors that aren't the RBMK reactor, it's almost like 1/10 of what that thing puts out.
Yeah, they're monsters.
Yeah,
I mean, we played around with them in the 50s. It's like, oh, these are cheap to build. They're super efficient. They have all the safety things we need. See, the RBMK reactor, weirdly enough, it was more dangerous to shut it down than just keep it running.
Yeah,
because it was powering down those that's the danger.
Well, also like because it was so big, the problem with the Chernobyl plant is like is reactor case, and then you have something, the housing around it is also basically enough to handle explosion from the reactor. So you basically have 2 reactors inside of each other, essentially, kind of. With the RBMK, it was like, okay, here's a reactor inside a warehouse.
Yeah, well, RBMK had super thick concrete on the perimeter of it, and on the top of the bottom you had a solid lead thing called a biological shield, which basically meant humans could work on the top and bottom of it because the lead was absorbing all the radiation. And the biological shield weighed 15,000 pounds. That was what got thrown 800 feet in the air and crushed the reactor when they blew it up. So I might have those numbers wrong. But yeah, ours have that's called containment.
Yeah.
Where that's why when 3 Mile Island melted down to slag, the people in the control room are like, they're flipping buttons like, I don't know what's going on, you know. But if it didn't have that containment, oh god, it would have just spewed out into the atmosphere and just killed a bunch of cows and some people in Susquehanna Valley or something. But
or get some China syndrome.
But see, that again, this proves, I mean, and the weird thing was 3 Mile Island was caused by people blowing air into a water line trying to clear it. It's like that's where the problem started. And then it just cascaded into controllers thinking one condition was happening. How did the sensor work? It's like it would only, that's a bad thing, because if you get a lot of steam, water's still going in. No, they just turned all the cooling water off, and then it melted down while a bunch of guys were scratching their heads like, what do you think happened, Bill? I don't know. They drilled into it, and it's like, oh yeah, that thing's just melted. It's just slag. They just recently took all the pumps and stuff off of it to use at other power plants. Because the 3 Mile Island, I think it's reactor 2 still runs.
Yeah.
And those were the exact same reactors that... But yeah, that's... That's nuclear power. It's going away. It'll all be gone here. And when do they say that's all going to? I don't know. They keep saying they're going to build new reactors, but never happens. I wouldn't object to it. I mean, I wouldn't want it in my backyard, but that one football team we played, that's where it's 6'8" teenagers. You know how ridiculous that looks to see someone that tall?
Is this fair?
Well, the thing was, he was great. I mean, he could charge through people. He only played like one quarter because he's like on his hands and knees. 6'8". I mean, he's like, how much can he do?
I don't have enough blood for this.
Well, he was big too. He wasn't like a 6'8" skinny guy. He was big. That guy has a future in movies. But yeah, that's nuclear power. We'll see where it goes. See what it gets us. Now, who knows? Now in this country, we might start building RBMK reactors here. Partners with Russia. Power is so cheap, we'll give it to you for free. I'm in. Just remember the positive void coefficient. We got you.
They're trying to talk science to me again.
We're just gonna put pictures of Jesus up in every corner of the control room. Yeah.
Jesus built my nuclear reactor.
New ministry song. Oh yeah, we watched the movie. We've seen a movie recently. The Blade Runner 2049. Which was actually a good movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. It for me it capitalized everything.
All right, zoom in.
Yeah, I like how they almost recreated everything in Blade Runner, but they added their own twist to it. Because in this, he was doing a DNA scan. But he was like, oh, wait a minute, go back, scan around. They couldn't... Ryan Gosling did a great job as just a emotional void of a human being. Or whatever, a replicant. But yeah, I mean, really anything that was good about Blade Runner, they made better.
Yeah.
In this. I don't know. I heard mixed things about the box office performance. The reviews were actually really good.
Oh yeah, it was one of the better reviewed movies. But yeah, it just bombed at the box office for its budget. So
that's too bad. Kind of saw that one coming. Well, a 3-hour runtime probably.
Yeah.
It
does not. It does not. I saw a movie twice. Does not feel like a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, I didn't.
But that's also like a movie for me because I went around telling people, it's like, yeah, it's great, but just. It's a 3-hour movie, and it's my kind of boring, so it might not be your kind of boring.
Yeah. It had everything, a lot of good things going for it. I really can't think there's anything that I didn't like about the movie. The soundtrack was a little intrusive, but I saw it in an IMAX, wide format. So that soundtrack.
You didn't like the random digital war elephants popping up.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it, but it was because they did that when they go to Vegas and he's just kind of walking around the weird orange fog.
Yeah.
You just get that just out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck was that for?
Yeah, it was.
But as soon as I left the theater, I bought that soundtrack. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought the soundtrack was just really concussive. That could have had more to do with the theater I was in, having these 20-foot tall speakers turned up as high as they could get them to go.
I know. I've listened to another podcast talk about the movie, and they said the IMAX theaters had the volume turned up too loud.
Oh, okay.
So I heard other people say that, but
yeah,
it could also be the mix. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I mean, the movie looked great.
Yeah.
But did you watch all the prequel stuff, I assume, before you saw the movie?
I did not see the anime that talks about the blackout.
Yeah.
But I did see the one where the guy kills all the board members, and the one with Sapper Morton where he's protect somebody, and then that basically like that gives them away.
Yeah.
So I saw those.
Yeah, those were pretty good. The I'm trying to think. The guy who did the animated one is the guy who did a lot of Cowboy Bebop stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean that was interesting. They were all pretty good. The Stapper Morton one was probably the better one. The one where Neanderthal. Well, he doesn't kill the board of directors. He just introduces the new Nexus, and this is why you should make them legal. And he looks at the guy and he's like, "You can kill yourself or kill me." So the guy like slits his own throat with a glass, and he says, "See, they'll obey you no matter what you do." I thought it was funny that would have been amazing if he lived, but the director, how do you say his name? Is it Villanova or
Well, let me guess. How do you say his first name?
Dennis or
No, Denis.
Denis?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard Villeneuve, but now I've heard like Villeneuve too. So I've
Okay.
been going with I like Villeneuve, so I've been going with Denis Villeneuve.
Okay. Thing is,
he's
from
French
North America.
He's French Canadian.
Yeah,
so.
he's from North America. You're from Montreal. It's
Yeah.
funny to be all weird about it. I don't think he is, but I could
I haven't
never
heard him. I haven't heard him say his own name, so I don't know.
Yeah. His brother did a kind of a weird French Canadian science fiction movie. Watched a short on it. It's like, this looks visually interesting, but it's all in French, so
Oh.
I'm gonna have to get a subtitled thing. French is one of those languages that almost makes sense to me, but then people start talking really, really fast. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, this other than that, like, you know, I mean, visually this movie was good. It made everything in Blade Runner better.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the pacing was off. I didn't feel like they were stretching things too far to try to make it all link up. The holographic girlfriend was interesting and sad.
Yeah. It becomes like, because it starts out just kind of like sad and weird, and it's like, where's this going? And then it goes places.
Remember the message of this movie: love crushes joy. That's what you get out of this. The Harrison Ford thing was even actually good. I didn't know what to expect from that. This is like, is this going to be another Harrison Ford victory lap of all his old movies, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
But he actually made sense. He was there. They weren't just trying to shoehorn him in.
Drive 2 to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I like Ryan Gosling's just dead-eyed void, like partial autism, like, but he's coming to save the world. The only emotion he has is when he thinks he has a father.
Yeah.
And he's been killing his own kind the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's in this movie did a good job. I like the police director, the police superintendent.
Yeah, who's that? Shit.
What's her name? She has a weird name. It's actually a Japanese name for boss or something.
Her name?
No, her character's
Oh, her
name.
character name.
The actor's name is Robin Wright.
Yeah.
It's Lieutenant Joshi. Yeah, Joshi means like commander or something in
Okay.
Japanese.
I remember they're talking about in the one podcast I listened to, like the weird inclusion of Asian culture, and then but like no Asian characters whatsoever in this movie,
Yeah.
which is strange.
Well, yeah, because Love, they tried to make, she looked Asian, but she wasn't.
Yeah.
She kind of acted Asian too.
But like, yeah, but not even one Asian character. We had one in the original Blade Runner, but then you also had like all the background thing. Because then you say like something, I'm not sure if it was in the novel, because I never read the novel, but something about like a meteorite striking.
The tech tree of this world, because some of the characters in this were based on the Philip K. Dick novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? There is a book called Blade Runner that was another book too. I'm not familiar with what all that is. But yeah, Hampton Fancher and Ridley Scott, when they were envisioning this world, it was, the meteor strikes took out half the planet. and all the people that were left alive kind of crammed in North America. And North America is just a launching point for the off-world colonies. And this is a continuation of that, actually. This doesn't, because they never changed, you know. By 2010, they already had replicants. Like, so that didn't, that didn't really happen. We know that. So then what that represents.
Fields being, they cleaned it up a little bit so he can see the sun a little bit, but so they have to build these giant solar panels to catch what light there is getting through.
Yeah, I forget how many. I don't know if it was in the prequels or something I'd read, but there's only like 800 million people left on Earth.
Huh.
But the off-world colonies, they can't. Well, that's why everyone on Earth, if you notice, like all the people that are left on Earth that are trying to administrate things, or they're still humans, they're fucking terrible, or they're drunks, or there's all the defective people are the only people that are left.
They're the ones that can't buy a ticket to leave.
Yeah, or they won't accept them, or they don't want to be there, or they don't fit in, or whatever. I mean, that was in the original Blade Runner. Like the guy, who's that actor's name? That Priss went and saw, the guy who designed their bodies.
The weird guy.
Yeah, the normal people. That's why I call that stuff over.
Yeah, there's interesting. If you listen to the Suspicious Minds song that's vaguely playing during their first meeting,
yeah,
it actually just basically tells a story of like between them, like. It's like, how are we going to get together with suspicious minds and stuff like that? It's like, can't even talk to each other. We're fighting and shit like that.
In here, like that, the weird stuff he says when they're checking to see if his mind's working right. That's from a book. Actually, the book was mentioned in the movie.
Yeah, they're talking. It's some poem or something like that. I can't remember.
It's one of those books that's written as a poem. It's a Russian. I think the guy was Russian who wrote something about cells and blood. Can't remember. Let me look up the quote. And black blood nothingness began to spin, a system of cells interlinked within cells.
Interlinked. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. Oh yeah, David Bowie was supposed to play Neander Wallace. He died, so he couldn't.
Complete fucking psychopath god wannabe.
You know where he based it on? He went and met CEOs in Silicon Valley, and he said, "I just act like those people."
Can't figure out the problem with replicants. So he can't make them replicate themselves and stuff like that because like he believes in himself so much he's going to take on this mantle.
Yeah, it was a good. I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely going to buy it when it comes out.
Yeah. Blu-ray. I'm so glad that Ridley Scott didn't direct it.
Almost did.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
this was the story that they came up with.
Yeah.
It was the same story, so it would have looked similar to this.
Because it's almost like that scene didn't happen because he sticks his hand in like the bee nest and he pulls it out and he has bees all over his hand and it cuts to him. He's just walking inside of.
It's kind of the moody excess of this movie in some way.
Well, also I know there's that thing. I never saw the movie he did. I can't remember the name of it with Jake Gyllenhaal. Where something with spiders in that movie, and he made him sign like non-disclosure agreements that nobody can ever tell what the spiders mean in that movie.
Oh, which one was that? I haven't seen it. Replicant bee.
Do they make replicant insects?
I don't. Well, there's almost no wood left. There's definitely expensive. I don't know if the bees, because if you notice in Harrison Ford's like hotel that he occupied, there were all kinds of pictures of animals and carvings of.
I didn't know if maybe that was just how Harrison Ford was feeding himself. It was just honey and booze. Like that's how he lived on his whole entire life.
Well, what was the thing with Las Vegas when the guy from Captain Phillips was scanning the wooden horse?
They say that somewhere. They say that the radiation was from a dirty bomb.
Well, they play around with that.
Yeah.
I knew they had to fucking mention that. That thing with Rachel was pretty good. It's like, wow, that's really good CG there. That doesn't look good
that
at
was
all.
what I was wondering. Is like, is this CG or is this just like really good makeup? Because like I'm pretty sure you can find something that looks exactly like her and put her up in put her up in some makeup.
The thing I heard with that scene, because some of the Star Wars stuff was so poorly received with Tarkin and the young Princess Leia, that was like a separate crew, and he gave him a year. It's like, make this right. I'm going to give you a year to work on it. And they shot it very dark, specifically.
Well, and they cut away from her for a while. Like every time she talks, like they basically cut away from her.
Yeah, but it was an actress that had the same body type that she would have had in 1982, and it was a different voice. They didn't. It's like no one wants to go near Sean Young because she's crazy, but that's true. Actually, she's nuts. So they had when they recreated her, he said, I don't want this to detract from this scene. So they gave him a year to do it instead of 3 months. So I guess that makes a difference. I don't know how that shit even works anymore.
Well, I was watching a behind the scenes thing with Fast and Furious 7. And because they had to do all the Paul Walker replacement stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like the scene at the end where it's like, obviously they replaced it in because like it's kind of, there's like this part where he looks into the camera and there's kind of a weird thing to it where it's like, that's got to be CG. That you didn't even know it was CG, that they did CG Paul Walker with. It's like, had no idea. It's like they did a really good job with that shit.
Well, didn't they use his brother as the body?
Yeah.
Okay,
because like he has two brothers. One brother looks almost exactly like remake Paul Walker, and they used a lot of scenes from like the previous films, where they just kind of like overlaid, like a video of that scene on top of like his brother's face and stuff like that to kind of get certain looks and things like that.
There was weird product placement in this movie that I caught right away. Instead of a spinner, which that's a French thing. It's like, oh, they're just having fun with us because they don't sell Peugeots in North America.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the cars at I think you have to get permission for that. But
yeah,
you see it. It's just like the Peugeot thing. You have to be looking. Only that was
well,
actually.
I noticed that one. I didn't know the other ones were Lincolns though. I didn't know that.
It's very quick.
Okay.
You got to know what you're looking at. The filmmakers confirmed it though, because I don't have a secondary copy. I've only seen it in the movies. But even I was like, that's a Lincoln emblem. But it's only like 3. So when I get the Blu-ray or whatever, I'll look closer. But I think I think Denis confirmed that they were supposed to be Lincolns.
Like bring back Atari, even that's just a holding company now. It doesn't exist.
Well, there's something called the Blade Runner curse, right?
What's that?
But most of the major corporations that appeared prominently in the original Blade Runner, like Pan Am and Atari, like they went out of business.
Coke's still around.
Coke's still around. Coke's eternal. But it's like because they ask him why. It's like, because Pan Am was in this and Atari, and they're like, why is that still in there? Those aren't even real companies. And he's like, this is a different universe. Those companies prospered and survived. He says you don't see logos for Apple Computer anywhere in Blade Runner because they didn't exist. And so it's kind of a play on. It's like, we can do this because it's an alternate universe. Because asteroids didn't strike the Earth in 1997, at least not that anyone noticed. I like the Dave Bautista, like the opening character at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
that was that was the original opening for Blade Runner.
Yeah, I remember there's something like it was supposed to be in like a junkyard, wasn't it?
A junkyard or a farmhouse, but the movie was supposed to open with Harrison Ford breaking into this farmhouse, sitting there, and the guy coming in and looking at him and be like, "Do you want any soup?" And Harrison Ford shoots him, and he didn't like Blade Runner anymore. Didn't like shooting people in the face. And
I think on the in the Blu-ray special for the original, they have like animatics or storyboards for that scene.
Yeah. Yep, the guy's dressed like a farmer, and he's like acting like he's not a replicant, and Decker just shoots him, and he's like, "What the fuck?" There's no exposition. That's just the movie opens.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna do the title and the scrolling thing and all that. But yeah, that was and I've picked up on that too. I was like, wait a minute, okay, I see what they're doing here.
What's that?
Well, when that opening scene is like,
Oh,
wow,
okay.
this is familiar to me. I
Yeah.
thought back, oh yeah, I know all this psychotic trivia about the other movie, and they're not gonna fucking get it past me.
I like some people are saying the gun's not as cool. The new gun's not as cool as the old gun. Maybe that's
Yeah.
how it's supposed to be.
Well, the old supposed to be, because I always thought those were like explosive tip bullets that are just designed to gut something that's like super dangerous, like a replicant.
Well, as far as I know, it's supposed to be like one barrel. There's supposed to be two barrels on it, and one because there's two triggers, I think. And one
Yeah.
barrel is just like a normal gun, and the other barrel is like some sort of like mini rocket or something like that.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was like they were like big bore guns that.
Because that's because they have a similar design for Battlestar Galactica, the new one, where they have like that under thing with the rocket on it, where they like shoot that to blow up the Cylon sometimes.
Oh,
It's basically
okay.
like a mini grenade launcher on the gun. Like they got that from the Blade Runner gun. Like they just liked that concept, so they took it.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But like it's never that's nothing. Like I think, you get like those. I read some there's some sort of like Blade Runner encyclopedia thing that like explains it or whatever. And it's like here's they do shit like that. Like the Star Trek encyclopedia, the Star Wars ones, where it's like here's every object and here's the history behind it and shit like that.
oh, okay.
But it's not really official necessarily. It's just somebody somewhere.
Well, the Ryan Reynolds gun made more sense as a gun that a replicant would use against a replicant, because they don't need like something ungodly powerful, because they're not completely overmatched. Because if I was a Blade Runner, I'd require something like a 3-barreled shotgun. I want something that's like, we're gonna take this guy away in bags. I'm not gonna let this thing get within 10 feet of me.
I like that crash scene when he gets out of the car and he's just like, oh, this is how dangerous he is. He can just like fucking execute 7 people in 3 seconds.
I like that his car had a gun too, and that I like how he used his drone just slam into the other car. And I'm gonna shoot through the window while flying vertically at this thing. It's like, that guy's a hell of a fucking shot, even with his car.
Yeah, like the ending's pretty weird. That I only found out what the fuck that thing was while listening to the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
Because that song and that scene is called Seawall.
Oh, where they're fighting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's what that is. Like, and if you look in the movie, like they do show like the seawall, like on the border of Los Angeles. It's like it's keeping the sea out, and it's probably also some sort of weird. It's probably some tide generator too, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Collects all the fluid karma.
Is that from what's that from?
Southland Tales.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Another movie like Until the End of the World that should be remade every 10 years. A lot of sensibilities just to see what the fuck happens.
Other things that are lingering. Oh yeah, I was wondering like with the daughter at the end. It's like is that the complication of replicants procreating, or is she not actually like sick? Is her being sick the cover, or is she actually sick?
I think the Resistance made that up so she could. Why was she on Earth? Because like I said before, all the talented good people are off world now, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you have to stay on Earth. Like, well, let's make up a story. Well, our immune system's compromised, but she's still this genius artificial memory generator. So that's why she's on Earth. But no, I don't think she really has that problem.
Okay. And then the other one was they kind of like, so he has this memory of like hiding the toy horse and stuff like that. And like the one leader says something like we all feel that. Like, do they all have this memory? How do they all have this memory?
Yeah, that's one of the things about the movie that's like open to interpretation,
Yeah.
because it's like, okay, those are really her memories. So what, she was in an orphanage at one time, like the resistance hit her there. She was obviously walking around the world. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the lady with the missing eye, I sort of got that from this. It was like Kay was always supposed to be that guy, but I don't know how deep this plot goes.
No, I think he was just, they're all intoxicated by that memory.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so disappointed. And they are all, it's like, oh, we felt that disappointment before. It's like, oh, wait, so you all have this memory? And then that's other thing is like, obviously the daughter doesn't know about this rebellion, but somehow she is contributing this memory to all the replicants, either unknowingly or knowingly. Is she trying to have her own rebellion?
Yeah, they don't answer those questions.
And they don't have to. It's just one of those
No.
lingering things. Like, you know,
We'll find out in the third installment.
in 30 years from now.
What would that be, 2079?
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to talk about it because I probably won't be here. But yeah, I don't. And some of that stuff, it was like, oh, they're trying to be the smart unanswered questions. I mean,
Yeah,
that's all. The movie, like this movie, answers some and explains how some things are going, but it just opens more doors.
No, I mean that's how the Villeneuve, that's how he makes movies. A lot of his movies are like, here's 10 scenes that are really good. Whether that answers the questions or not, that's not his problem. He made 10 really good scenes.
Yeah, fill in the gaps, and people will.
You know, Edward James almost shows up with that paper bowl. I'm not sure what the fuck that was supposed to be about.
A sheep.
Oh, it was a sheep? Oh, okay. I thought it looked like a
Sheep
bowl.
is the Rachel in Hebrew means sheep.
Oh, okay.
So that's all those little origami. And believe me, I didn't divine that myself. I read that somewhere. But yeah, all his little origami shit always has something to do with the plot or the story. I had looked that one up. This is like, what's Gaff trying to teach us? It was interesting that he's in a retirement home.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be like in his late 40s and pretty shot up and pretty screwed up from fighting replicants. So yeah, he'd be in his 70s and not a good 70s either. So
Still on Earth. Can't retire off world.
Can't retire off world. What else? What other weird?
Now, I think there's a question I brought up the podcast I listened to is like, so is that are Rachel and presumably Harrison Ford, or however you take it, are they the Nexus 7s? Because they jumped from Nexus 6 to Nexus 8, but we don't know anything about, was there a Nexus 7?
I think Rachel was a Nexus 7.
Okay.
And like Tyrell said, she was special. Memories had something to do with it, but there was also a physiological aspect apparently. But I don't know if the Tyrell Corporation would be interested in having replicants reproduce, because then they're out of business. Then you just created humans with weird personalities. Like, well, all these things got to do is fuck. That's what got us here in the first place. The world's such a mess. But yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that that Rachel was what they call a Nexus 7.
Okay.
But with an open-ended lifespan and the ability to reproduce, which was something Wallace couldn't recreate. Of course, I don't know what Wallace was doing different than Tyrell, except having open-ended lifespans.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just having things that were verbally obedient.
yeah, it was mostly the obedience is what he did.
So I don't know how Nexus, other than Nexus 6s that don't live very long, I don't know how those are different from the later generations, except Rachel could apparently reproduce, though she would die in the process.
And yeah, the end fight scene was kind of weird. He just drowns her.
Yeah.
The only thing I took from it was like why it had to go that way is like her power comes from her legs, and like the way he attacked her, like kind of took her legs away from her. Like that's the way he got the upper hand.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird fight.
And then, that was the first time I like really thought about like what a replicant was, because like when I took my buddy there, he's with his wife, which is kind of funny. We're going, and I was like, yeah, this is Blade Runner, and she's like, so does this have to do with vampires? I'm like, oh, no, this isn't Blade. This isn't a Blade movie.
Starts out with that weird techno music.
It just starts raining blood everywhere.
Yep.
I was like, all right. And I was like explaining replicants. It's like, all right, they're gonna seem like robots, but they're not. They're bioengineered. But they aren't grown from babies. They're just created adults and they're given memories. I'm like, that's a replicant.
Yeah, that's that's a weird thing to explain. I've never really understood exactly what they were either. I mean, yeah, they're just bioengineered humans.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think the distinction, I guess, what I'd make between a replicant and a clone is a clone is grown, like from a baby.
Yeah,
but just clone from another thing, and they make bunches of them. Like with the replicant, it's kind of more like the Westworld thing, where they just kind of like build them with machines, but like with biomaterials.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing about the Westworld things is they said, yeah, you're just like us, except your minds are different. Because they made that clear in Westworld. Like, remember when she slit that guy's throat and he was dying in the surgical suite?
Yeah.
And then she just takes that tool and it immediately seals up the wound. And the guy's like, what the fuck did you do that for? It's like, oh, that's medical technology. That's not just specific to Westworld. It's like that's how their medicine works. But then again, I don't, because Anthony Hopkins made some weird statement about how like nobody really gets sick and dies anymore because of their medical technology outside the Westworld. So they come here for, dangerous thrills and. But yeah, the Westworld things are weird because they started off as robots and then they became something later. But that's a whole. Can't wait to see where that's going to go. I really like that, but yeah, those are kind of like replicants. As a matter of fact, they're exactly like replicants. But yeah, it's a good movie. I wish it had a more commercial success.
Yeah,
to be successful, it's too bad. Because it doesn't really have to do with stupidity or just being too high over people's heads. It just has to do with, do you like this kind of pacing and storytelling?
Yeah.
If you do, great. If you don't, this is not going to be the movie for you.
But this year has to be the nail in the coffin for like the sci-fi, the like high-end sci-fi movie.
Oh yeah, it's done. It's
because it was like Ghost in the Shell came out this year, bombed. Valerian and the Thousand Cities. Like, well, I think that might have done better internationally, but it didn't do great here.
No.
Which I saw that movie the other day.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to, but got around to it.
Really neat shit in that movie.
Yeah.
There's like a fourth dimensional like sound. Yeah. That's one with like Ryan Reynolds, and they discover I think Jake Gyllenhaal's in that too. They discover like some thing in space, and then like they're playing.
Oh,
with it and it starts
basically
going.
an Alien remake without Alien. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this one, this was like, well, maybe it'll be okay. And this one's like, okay, it's a super expensive movie, a lot of talent behind it. It's well reviewed, and like nobody goes and see it. Well, I mean, like not nobody, but
yeah,
that's not gonna make his money back. But oh well. I bought 4 tickets to go see it. So.
Yeah, I will buy it on Blu-ray. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it's a good movie. It didn't disappoint me.
It's probably my favorite movie this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Of course, I did see Thor Ragnarok.
That is a fun movie.
Grayson, that was one of the funniest. There's so many scenes in that movie where it's like, really, they're gonna do that. That's great. I mean, my favorite is when Bruce Banner jumps off the spaceship, and like, because the what is it, the wolf or whatever, the giant wolf's attacking.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I want to show, or I forget what he says, but it's like he's going to jump out and you think he's going to turn to the Hulk immediately. And he just crashes on the bridge and kind of lays there. Everyone looks at him like, what the hell? There's a lot of moments, but that was hilarious. It's like, oh my God, they're just having a good time. I like the Jeff Goldblum. It's like, just be a creep. We're going to dress you up. Be your normal self. Think he had fun with that. Yeah, that was a good one. What did that mean at the end? What was the giant spaceship?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that have something to do with Infinity War? Or...
Probably. There's that Thanos guy.
Yeah.
I think it's Thanos. He's supposed to be the ultimate, like, evil that everybody fights at the end. He's the one getting all the gems for the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
So he has a gauntlet with all the Infinity Gems or whatever. As far as, like, what I vaguely know about it, like, it's something where, like, Thanos gets this Infinity Gauntlet and basically, like, destroys the entire world to try to, for the affection of death, which is what Thor's sister is supposed to be.
Okay.
And then she never gives him the time of day, and then, like, and then something gets reversed after Thanos basically kills the entire universe for her affection, and then she doesn't care.
Oh, okay.
And then somehow whoever's left alive, like, reverses everything or something. So I don't know how this is supposed to go. But...
Yeah, who knows? I know they're having much better luck with this than DC's having with their
Justice League.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see that movie just to see, like, just to go through that whole movie and, like, all right, which one's Joss Whedon and which one's Zack Snyder?
Well, what do you mean?
Because Joss Whedon took over that project after Zack Snyder had to quit because his daughter committed suicide.
Joss Whedon's daughter?
No, Zack Snyder.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did. Now
We
that
talked
you-
about it before.
Sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah, he shot about like 75% of that movie. After that happened, he leaves. Joss Whedon comes in to basically, like, finish it up for him.
Oh, okay. That's terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, there is, like, a lot of, like, because, like, all Zack Snyder stuff, there's, like, a lot of doom and gloom and stuff like that, and then, you know, Joss Whedon's all kind of about, like, you know, the punchlines and shit like that. So there's a lot of, like, this weird disconnect because, you know, this is, like, sort of the Zack Snyder gloomy stuff mixed with Joss Whedon punchlines and things like that. They also made this movie a lot brighter,
Yeah.
but, like, in post-production, so you can, because the Red Letter Media guys were talking about this and showing examples of, like, you can see how, like, the Batsuit looks weird now because it wasn't meant to be, like, you weren't meant to turn the gamma up with that suit. It was meant to be filmed in darkness. Like, that's how that suit was designed. So now it looks kind of weird because it's all bright now.
Huh. Oh. Well,
And apparently they gave more scenes to Wonder Woman after that movie was a hit.
oh, okay.
So, but yeah, they're expecting this movie to do better than Wonder Woman, but it's probably not going to.
Huh. Yeah, that's too bad.
But yeah, it is like the weirdest fucking headlines where it's like, Justice League is a $95 million opening failure.
Yeah, it only made almost $100 million. They what's the other one coming out this year? Oh, the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
what
yeah.
next? Is that next week? Something like
December,
that? Or
something.
that's it? Or is that a Christmas movie?
I think it's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Me and Grayson are going to go see the Winston Churchill movie. There's a lot of revisionist history in it, and I guess people don't like that. It's because it's kind of World War II has gotten to the point now they're putting modern sensibilities into stuff that happened 70 years ago. But they say his performance is so strong, it's worth seeing it just for that.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the Gary Oldman rehabilitation tour. We said all that right wing shit. He's now he's trying to come back, but which I don't know why someone said that. But
Do you see Christian Bale? What he looks like now?
like he kind of looks like me. Yeah, that's. He's gonna play Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope his next role is like you have to play like some starving like war vet or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna play Dick Cheney, and then we need you to get in shape for Auschwitz, the movie.
So he did that. Like he went from like the Machinist to Batman, and he had to do like a turnaround. He had to like gain like he had to be like almost 90 pounds for the Machinist, and then like gain like 60 pounds of muscle for Batman.
Yeah,
in like 3 months or something crazy like that.
he's gonna fucking die young. Because there's anorexic Christian Bale, there's Batman Christian Bale, and now we got this Christian Bale. If I was him, because I think he's like exactly my age now. I think we're born in the same year. I'd just be like, well, we're gonna fucking CG this because this can't be good for my heart.
He's method, man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, he's serious. I haven't seen a Christian Bale movie in a while.
Last time I remember him in something. Well, I can't. There's that one movie where he's like he plays like some factory worker and it has a weird name with like fire on the something.
Last movie I saw with him was that Werner Herzog movie, Rescue Dawn.
Really? You didn't see? Because wasn't the third Batman movie after that?
I thought that came after the third Batman movie. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the third Batman movie. It was the last. So.
There was another one where was it The Fighter, where he's like, I think was it Mark Wahlberg or somebody? He's like somebody's like the fighter, and he's like the brother he's like the drug addict brother.
Oh, didn't see that one.
I heard it was good, but yeah, I never see that one either.
Yeah, so there's some good things coming up.
Well, of course, Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, see, that was more anorexic Christian Bale there. Let's see what else is the next installment of The Expanse is coming out next month.
Oh, the books?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about the TV show.
We got renewed. I know that.
Yeah.
I just don't know when it's coming out. They're taking another 2 years to do that or not.
It's a big, long production cycle.
As long as they're making it, yeah, I don't care. Take as long as you want.
What other books and novels and movies are there? I don't know. There's
what's a new one called?
Persepolis Rising.
Okay.
Yeah, pick weird names.
Isn't there another rep? Oh no, it's Abaddon's Gate. Never mind. I thought there was another Rising, but I guess there wasn't.
No.
So when's that come out?
Well,
next
Leviathan
month?
Wakes. Yeah. Yeah, next month sometime.
Huh. Okay.
Not sure when.
There's a new sci-fi show coming out, I think December 6th.
Mm-hmm.
That looks pretty crazy. We should all tune in.
What's this one?
Did you ever see Crank?
The one with Jason Statham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fucking crazy ass movie?
Yeah.
Alright, so the normal guy from that team that made that, he made a movie, or he's making a TV show called Happy.
I think I saw an advertisement for this.
With Christopher Maloney as like a deadbeat and apparently dead ex-cop who can see a girl's imaginary unicorn friend voiced by Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
And then they have to save people. It looks pretty crazy.
It's on Sci-Fi Channel. I'll have to check this out.
Yeah. Occasionally they do some stuff that turns your eye. I kind of want to watch that magician show because I hear like good things about it, but I just don't believe that it's good.
Yeah.
Because you see commercials for it, it's like, nah, this is probably stupid.
This looks kind of dumb. Might like it though. I don't know. So anyway, Blade Runner, go and watch it.
Blade Runner, does it hold up?
Yeah, it does hold up to the 1982 original. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to do The Burbs.
Oh, fuck yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, I did too. It's been like 2 months since we've done a show, so
Yeah. That's all right.
we had football and concussions and homework and playoffs and all kinds of stuff. Which, I mean, I actually had to do nothing with any of those things except homework and getting to bed at 3 a.m. smashed and having to get up the next day at 6 to start doing other stuff that isn't working out too well. But we'll figure that out. Anyway, I think that's all I got.
Oh, have you seen the new Star Trek yet?
No, I don't have access to that
Okay.
program. I've heard interesting things about it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Because they basically just made Star Trek into Battlestar Galactica,
Oh,
where it's kind of like high drama, high stakes.
yeah.
It's not like they did a bad job with it. It's just it doesn't seem like it's Star Trek.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
if you listen to the fan theories, it isn't.
and then they they throw around the F word,
Yeah.
so that was weird. Not in a derogatory way. That's just like the guy. They're looking at something. They're doing some science shit, and this one lady goes, "That's fucking cool," and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for swearing." She's like, "No, it is fucking cool." They haven't doubled down on it yet. They haven't said fuck it after that, but it is, way more violent than most Star Trek shows. Not way more, just more than Star Trek show. Like, I know you look at it, it's like, oh, this is like Galaxy Quest, right?
Yeah.
It is fucking next gen. It is an hour-long show with jokes sprinkled in, but it is, honest to goodness, a Star Trek Next Generation show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Legitimately.
Huh.
Now, there is, like, the problem I have with it is that, like, with a lot of problems saying that happened with the Seth MacFarlane movie, like A Million Ways to Die in the West, where it's like Seth MacFarlane as an actor in a time period is a weird fourth dimensional character who's making like 90s references and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So same problem here. But because it's mostly cast with like comedic actors, it's more of they're more immediately likable. But it is like sci-fi stories, and like it is like they have a holodeck and all the same shit. The only limitation they have is they don't have teleporters.
Oh, okay.
At some point there is a race that's more advanced than them that does teleport them across like the universe or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But they have like an episode that's like they have like a Rendezvous with Rama episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just like find this giant derelict spaceship in the middle of space, and they get on it, and then they find like in the center of it is like basically like a world, like it's called a bio world. So it's basically like they built like a kind of Earth thing inside this ship, and that's where the people live, and like for some reason like these people they didn't have faster light technology, so they just built a giant ship, a generation ship, to take them across space. Its engines go out, and then everybody just kind of lives inside the biodome. But they don't. But the way it's like constructed, you don't realize you're inside a ship unless you know. So this thing's been going on for like thousands of years, so long that people inside the ship don't even know they're on a spaceship anymore.
Oh, it's just passing memory, huh?
Yeah. And then there's a part, let's see, where the sun is, and there's like it's kind of like these things in the sky where you can see like where it's like, oh, that's machinery or whatever. And then like it opens up, and it's like, and that's the first time those people have ever seen the stars before, because it's been 24 hours or whatever hours. It's always been sunlight. It's never not been sunlight.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking cool. And then Norm Macdonald plays a slime.
Oh, okay.
Gelatinous blob.
Playing a pigeon on Mike Tyson Mysteries, and now a slime. Well, I might have to check that out. They always have it available on demand here, so.
Yeah. So very surprised by that. That's on Discovery. There's this one episode where they're working out in their workout gear. So it has like the Starfleet insignia on the side and stuff like that, and weird like tubing on the shirt, but it's just more or less a normal shirt. But Discovery is somewhat a long name, so on the front it just says Disco.
Oh, okay.
I want the Starfleet Disco shirt.
You've heard the theories about, because I've read a lot about Discovery and watched things on YouTube, and you've heard the theories about that, right?
What
The
is it?
fan theories that the people
it-
aren't denying now.
Is it like mirror universe stuff or what?
Yeah, like because it's like either this is the mirror universe, that's why it's so violent and different, or yeah, Captain Lorca's from the mirror universe. And they have all kinds of like elaborate theories about that. And it's kind of like the Westworld thing when all the fans figured it out. Like, oh, these are two separate timelines, and the people at Westworld are kind of like, fuck. Okay, we're gonna have to go with this. And yeah, Jonathan Frakes directs a lot of these, and he basically said, yeah, this is going to involve the mirror universe. That's all I'm going to say after he started getting inundated with these fan theories. So,
Well, there's a thing like so I don't. Do you know? Have you heard of the? Oh fuck, what is it? They have Black Alert,
yeah, when they activate the
spore drive. That's what it's
Yeah.
called.
which is an idea they stole from Neil Asher. I'm surprised he hasn't sued him, but
What's Neil Asher or what's the
he
idea
writes
there?
British sci-fi. Basically the whole thing about the mycelium in the universe, how it's like, oh, you don't need FTL, you can just he can just transfer. These ancient beings built this whole network in space, and if you can figure out how to get through it, you can just transfer anywhere. Like that was in his books like 5 years ago.
Oh no, I think this is more like the vague way I want to describe the spore drive is how it works in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
where you just travel through all space and time, and you end up in the right spot.
Oh, okay.
So like the
That's a little different. This terminology was enough similar that I thought, oh wow, this is
they might have like scientifically more explained it, but I just took it as like the way they do it seems more like the way they vaguely describe, or the way they show it in the movie at least, where they just like hop through different times and they're basically in all places at all once. They just have to choose where they want to be
Yeah.
in order to get there. And at some point they might be a sofa.
Yeah, that could happen.
Here it's like, so they have a spore drive. The spores are like, it's kind of like that cosmic linkage or whatever like that, and they use a tardigrade, like a giant tardigrade who's can survive a lot of shit, but like something like it's like a giant tardigrade that they find, and it has inside of it basically the connections throughout all the universe because of like that thing you were talking about. And if you can just like focus in on it, then you can go wherever you want. So they're basically using this live animal as the spore drive, and it's killing it. So they decide, well, we can't do that. And so the one guy decides like, well, I'll be so he mixes up his DNA with his tardigrade, so then he can become the source for the spore drive, so they can travel anywhere in the universe at any time. And so there's a scene where him and the doctor are about to go to bed, and they're like brushing their teeth, and the doctor turns away to go to bed, and then he turns away, and then the mirror image stays there looking at him.
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay, we're not being subtle here.
Yeah, I've heard that, and then there was something about how when the captain and this admiral are in some kind of relationship, and he has all these weird scars on him, which are like symbols, and she's like, that wasn't there before, and before he got, whatever happened with his old ship, because he was the only one that survived.
Well, the whole like with the Michael, she's the one that basically starts this war between the Klingons.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the battle that happens there, like that's where Lorca was, where everybody died.
Battle of the Binary Stars or whatever.
And that's also like where his eyes are all fucked up because he refuses to get his eyes replaced with better eyes, so he's like really sensitive to light.
He's always doing the eyedroppers.
Yeah.
Okay. I say I don't know everything because I can only bits and pieces this because I can't pay for yet another secret.
Yeah, I'd wait till like the whole season comes out because the second half of the first season comes out in January. So like wait till it comes out, and then just sign up for a month, watch all of it, and then cancel it.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Well, apparently they're gonna have they're gonna come out with a a Twilight Zone series too for behind this paywall.
Oh,
So
yeah, I've tried that before though.
yeah.
Never works.
Well, I got that. And someone's doing like Hulu. They're doing that. Do Android or was it? No, it's not Do Androids, but it's called like. What is it? It's like some fucking Electric Sheep or something like that. Or Do Androids Dream? No, I think it's called Do Androids Dream. No, fuck. What is it? It's a Philip K. Dick anthology series on Hulu.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be something like that.
It's like Bryan Cranston's in an episode or some shit like that. Or it might be called Electric Dreams or something like that.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah, well, I'll never see that either. So many of these fucking paywalls. I mean, if my cable bill was like $70 a month, I'd subscribe to a bunch of these services.
Yeah.
But I can't, And after today's fun, I can't believe that happened either. It's just like, well, it's Thanksgiving Day, the game's on, everyone's at home watching. Let's shut it down for fun. All right. Well, anyway, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon. Goodbye, America.